The conference championships has concluded. They concluded. It was a interesting day of football. I'm recording this at 1:15 in the morning, so I've been given a few hours to come back home from watching the games. Watch The Last of Us, talk to my girlfriend for a while, and just kind of think about it, right? And let's run by the easy one, real quick. So, the Niners got shot with a gun in the second half of that game, right? And what's tough is that if I were a Niners fan, I'd be sitting there and I'd be thinking about that Devonta Smith play and how, in hindsight, it wasn't a catch, right? Because he dropped it at the end of it. He didn't drop it, that's a stretch to say, but it wasn't a catch, right? And everybody knows that. And I'd be looking back and going, man, that whole game would be different. That whole game would be different if they made that right call. And I'm not even saying you're wrong, but shit happens. And that sucks. And then obviously all their shit happened with all their guys going down. Personally, I'm not like spreading this as propaganda like we should all think this, or look at me, I'm smart, I have reasons to believe what I'm thinking. This is me as, just a guy. I think Purdy is fine. That's my thought. Because I think that he got scared. I think he played a good team, wasn't ready for it, and got scared. That's personally my thought. Because I think that let's look at it for a second. I think you won 8, was it 7 or 8 straight? We'll for the sake of it call it 8 straight, right? I'm not exactly sure how many it was. So he wins 8 straight football games. And he then, going into next year, when you're looking at an extension, or looking at who should be starting, or any of that, or looking at, various shit when you, with him, respect for from your teammates, a lot of things. Do you get more credit when you win 8 straight and then lose to a better team because they've took advantage of your weaknesses? Or do you look better when you win 8 straight and then get hurt and get blown out because you were hurt? What looks better? And again, not saying I'm right, saying that's what I believe. And again, you don't gotta. I'm not even saying you don't have to agree with me. There's no reason for you to agree with me. I'm not asking you to. I don't really even want you to. This channel and these videos aren't for me to have a conversation. I'm not coming here for us to speak together and for me to build something great yet, at least. The goal is for me to talk into a camera about football because I don't have enough people in my life that I talk about football with. It's really just my mom. And love you, Mom. Not enough to talk about sports with. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on that game. With the results of the other games, I think Phillies win the Super Bowl. Right now, I was kind of tough on it. Middle of that game, I was like, damn, dude, those Bengals and those Chiefs, I don't know if they're enough. Either way, I got Eagles now, because my initial pick, the Bengals, lost. And let's get to that. Because this is a very interesting game, in my opinion. Because Burrow did not play his best game, I think. I think he played a very good game. But it wasn't his best game. Right? I think he could have done better. The Chiefs' defense played very well. Mahomes, performance of a lifetime. In 20 years, we're going to remember how he played today. Right? When we're voting Mahomes into the Hall of Fame, someone at that table is going to go, man, in 2023 when he on a high ankle sprain could like a tough limp went out and threw for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns and beat a good team to make it to the Super Bowl. That's going to come up. Right. And then there's what's not going to come up. Right. And that's the 3 tries they had at 3rd and 9. When they had a full play because a ref decided that he didn't want to stop the whole play, and the redo that they got. And then when they got that redo, they called a holding. Or pass interference, I don't remember what it was. And, it wasn't a great one. It's a little ticky-tacky, but if it didn't come on 3rd and 9, take 2, or take 3, I don't even remember, then it wouldn't be as bad, but that was rough. And there were definitely a few more in there that I don't remember off the top of my head. But, they were there. That one was there. And then you've got the last play of the game, which was the Mahomes rollout into an unnecessary roughness penalty that made what could have been a 60-yard field goal into a 45-yard field goal, which is like a if you make it, you make it. If you don't, you don't kind of field goal to a very, very makeable field goal. Where you have an unnecessary roughness penalty, which that one was tough. Because I don't know what you do because Mahomes fell, but I think Mahomes flopped. I think he jumped, dude. He got like a little bit of a forearm to the back. He went flying. And do I think everybody else gets those calls? I don't think everybody else gets those calls. I don't know. That one, I don't think that was right. I don't call that one. Maybe because I wanted the Chiefs to lose because the Chiefs feel like Goliath, If they're the David and Goliath. It's tough right now because Mahomes' ankle is busted. So it's tough to call them Goliath, but they still feel like Goliath, and you always want Goliath to lose, Unless you're Goliath, you want Goliath to lose. So maybe it's because I was rooting against the Chiefs, but I don't know if I call that. What definitely should have been called is at least 2 holding penalties that I saw on that play. Swear to God, at least 2. And again, I think if you were paying attention, you saw them too. I saw Bengals players being thrown to the ground in directions they weren't going. And I have a very good memory about football. I can tell you what I did. I can tell you where it happened on the field about so many games dating back to 2014. I remember the championship round in 2014. My cousins were there. At one point in the night, my dad had a bowl of Doritos on his head on the floor. I remember that. I remember. Actually, I don't actually remember most of the game. I remember the Seahawks winning. I remember that ball going up in the air. Because my dad went, "Oh, that's it." And that was it. He was right. I remember that. I was 11 years old. And that was 9 years ago. So that was 45% of my life ago. And I remember it very well. Vividly, I remember my dad going, "That's it." I had a hairbrush in my hand. I remember the hairbrush. I know what it looks like. And I threw it to the ground. And that hairbrush snapped in half. And I felt bad. But the Packers had lost in a game that we really shouldn't have. And in 20 years, when they're building the Hall of Fame case, when people are in that room talking about how Mahomes gutted through a high ankle sprain to play a great game, they're going to talk about that, and everyone and everybody in the room is going to remember, right? Whether it's because they have memory like I do, or because they have gone over it a million times because that's who they are. You know, that's what they're going to remember. In 20 years, we'll say I have kids. I'm going to be telling my kids about how well Mahomes played and how much help he got to do it. Because people don't remember these things, right? A lot of people are going to forget what these guys are doing. I say what you guys are doing. I'm saying that like I think that it's actually rigged. I think it's kind of rigged for like their guys, you know. But you know, what are you gonna do? With everything I'm saying being said, the Bengals still could have won that game. Like with as much as I've said about the NFC Championship game in 2021, with the Packers and the Bucks, we had the ball down the score multiple times. We could have tied that game. So as much as I want to say that the refs screwed us, we definitely still could have won that game, and the Bengals could have too. Right? But I know what happened. I know the calls they got. I know what the refs did. I know who they wanted to win. Or, I don't know, not who they wanted to win, but who they were willing to give the call to. I know who they liked more. I know what agenda wanted to be pushed, which is that Mahomes is the GOAT. You know? I know. And in 20 years, I'm going to know. In 20 years, I'm not going to talk about it. Because I'm going to remember. Because I remember what happened. I mean, obviously it's 9 and 20 years, but I remember what happened 9 years ago. I don't remember. And right, like I'm feeling like I'm okay. Like in the moment I was heated. I was heated. But I knew when I was heated that I was going to come home. I was going to watch The Last of Us. I was going to go to bed. And I was going to wake up tomorrow and I was going to be okay. Right? And I'm right. Because that's what I'm going to do. But in 2021, I didn't. I genuinely, like, this sounds pathetic, and I think it's right. I think that's fair. I think about the 2021 NFC Championship game every single day. Every day since. I don't know when that's going to stop. I think about it every day. Cause I watched that game. I saw what happened in it. I saw who got the calls and who didn't. And so that is to say that I know how it feels. For any Bengals fans watching this video, or not, because this video will get at most 20 views, and if it hits 20 views, I'm very excited. Right? I'm really excited. So, if anybody's watching this and is a Bengals fan, I need you to know I understand. As a Packers fan who didn't care until we won the Super Bowl, to me it doesn't count. I never actually got to watch my team win. So like and as I thought at the time too, is I'm so scared for Bengals fans because they've got Jamar Chase and they've got Joe Burrow, and they'll have them for years. For years. I think they'll do anything to keep them together. I think they'll do anything. Right. And just know that they had their chance, and they I don't want to say blew it, but they blew it. You know, it's tough. It's tough. So I understand. It sucks. Yeah. That was it. This is a little more quieter than they usually are. Usually I'm a little bit more excited. Because I watched Last of Us and people died and it was sad. Yeah. With that being said, I'm rooting for the Eagles in the Super Bowl. I like the Eagles. I liked them when I was younger. I like them now. I knew Hurts would be good. I don't know if I said it here, but I said it to people I was talking to. I knew Hurts would be good. Hurts was my dark horse for MVP. When I made my 6-leg parlay where every single pick is wrong, but what are you gonna do? I picked Hurts as my MVP. I thought he would win MVP. He got hurt. If he didn't get hurt, he wins MVP, I think. So yeah, I'm rooting for them. Yeah. This felt like a weird video. Felt like a weird one. I'll put that down. That shouldn't be there. This felt like a weird one. If you watched it, thank you. Appreciate it. Love you, Mom. Bye.